Hi everybody, it's me, Kendall. I'm back again and I'm doing my third book talk. This week I'm going to be talking about the book Looking for Alaska by John Green. I don't have a physical copy of the book with me today because somebody actually checked it out, which is so exciting. I really hope that whoever it is that has it reads it and loves it just as much as I did. The name John Green might sound really familiar to some of you because of his book, The Fault in Our Stars. That book really became a popular one. It spurred a movie, and after The Fault in Our Stars came out, John Green got significantly more popular. People really started paying attention to his books, and that's why Looking for Alaska got on a lot of people's radar. That book actually came out before The Fault in Our Stars, and another crazy thing about Looking for Alaska is that it's frequently found on the banned and challenged book list. One of the reasons that people try to ban Looking for Alaska as often as they do is because they consider it to be sexually explicit. So there is some sexual content. I wouldn't necessarily call it explicit, but that's my personal opinion and everybody's entitled to their own. So just know that if you're going to read the book, there is some sexual content. There is some drinking and drug use from the teens that are in the novel, but it is what it is. One of the great things about Looking for Alaska is that it's a pretty polarizing book. People seem to either love it or they hate it. Great example is it's often on the banned and challenged book list, but on the other hand, it also has received awards for being such a great book. One of them is the Michael L. Pince Award, and I mean, if it's good enough to win an award, you think that is a good sign, right? So really you have to come down to how you feel about it on your own by reading the book. I personally really enjoyed it. Looking for Alaska has some really strong themes of self-discovery and figuring out who you are in the grand scheme of things. Our main character, Miles, ends up with the nickname Pudge, and he finds himself caught up in a whirlwind of friendship and pranks and all kinds of other things as he enters a new boarding school. One of these people that he becomes friends with is his roommate, who's called the Colonel, and honestly, he was probably my favorite character. I just thought he was really great and funny. But then there's also Alaska, who is the Alaska from the title. Alaska is like a whirlwind. She just blows into people's lives and makes them do things they never thought they would do, and she's wild and free-spirited and passionate, and ultimately this story is about how she impacts the lives of her friends. There are a lot of lighthearted moments in this book. There are moments that I actually laughed out loud while reading it. On the other hand, though, there are some really sad moments, and there's a lot of exploration of grief. So just know that if you're thinking about reading this book, you might want to have a box of tissues nearby because it does get kind of sad. I don't want to say much because spoilers, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's lovely. There is also some really interesting perceptions between the characters and dialogue as they figure out what they are doing in their lives or who they're going to be in their lives. The main character, Miles, aka Pudge, he is off to seek his great perhaps, and Alaska is wondering how to get out of the labyrinth, which is more of a metaphor for this life that we all go through and are living every day. So there's a lot of kind of interesting philosophical banter between some of the characters. It's quite clever and witty, and they all have very bold opinions about the way the world is and are kind of growing into those opinions more as they experience the things they do. The first half of the book is generally mostly fun and games. It's Miles getting to know his new friends, getting to know his new school, and then in about the halfway point of the book, there's an abrupt change in the narrative and the experiences the characters are going through as they try to find Alaska. I won't say much more than that about it because I really don't want to ruin it, but it was shocking to me. I was definitely blindsided by it, and looking back, I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. So it was a nice surprise, and I got a lot out of that book. A lot of people, too, I find, tend to compare Looking to Alaska to John Green's other book, Paper Towns, which I have had people tell me it's very similar. The plot is a little similar, and it's kind of seems to be the author's way of taking things that he tried to explore in Looking for Alaska, like some of the feminist ideals that you see sprinkled throughout, and really expand upon those in Paper Towns. So if you read Looking for Alaska and you really like it, but think that maybe you could have gotten a little more from it, you might also really enjoy Paper Towns. There's a lot of room to explore with his books. He has several published titles, and they are all well loved and, for the most part, well received. There is also now a show about Looking for Alaska that's based on the book. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list. I will be watching it very soon, I hope, and I have been told by my coworker Hannah that it's really well done. So if you love the book, you can also watch the show, which we have here on DVD at the library, so you can check those out if you'd like to. There is a lot of ideas in this book that may spark some ideas for you about where you want to be going in life, or how you might be handling your teenage years if you are a teenager. But I think a lot of people can relate to this book, and I think that's why it's so popular. And I think maybe that the people that don't love it as much have a hard time relating to it. I personally really enjoyed it. I think it's a great book. I can't stop thinking about it. So I'm really looking forward to reading Paper Towns, because that is now waiting on my nightstand at home. I am planning on reading through the rest of John Green's books within the next few months. So I may talk about some more on here. We'll see. I haven't decided yet. But in other news, I thought it would be fun to do this. So I created a little playlist with music that is inspired by Looking for Alaska. So songs that you might hear on the radio, they just gave me Looking for Alaska vibes. So I put them together, and I'm going to put the link to that playlist in the comments, which you can find below this video. And I hope that you all enjoy it if you give it a listen. I really like a lot of the songs on there. Some of them are my favorite, so I really hope you guys like it. If you have read Looking for Alaska, or are planning on reading Looking for Alaska, and you want somebody to talk to about it, you can talk to me. You're more than welcome to email me. My email address is kendall.chapman@bhpl.com. You can also find it on our website. You can always give me a call too, or if you need book recommendations or anything like that, I'm happy to help. So this is it for this book talk. I hope you guys are itching to read Looking for Alaska now and are excited about some new titles, possibly some other John Green books. So